To my dear old friend, I hope this letter finds you in a quiet hour, in a place of peace. The sea is calm today. The lantern has already been lit. I've had little time before my last walk around the tower, and I found myself thinking of you. It occurred to me that although we have spoken of many things over the years, I've never properly told you what an ordinary day is like here by the sea. It may not sound like much of a story, mind you. Nothing remarkable happened today. No great storms rolled across the water. No ships ran aground the rocks. No strange visitors climbed the hill to my door. No surprises. It was, by all accounts, a very ordinary day. But you know, in my old age, I've found that the ordinary days are often the best sort to remember. So, we'll start at the beginning, shall we? I woke before the sun this morning. That's hardly unusual for me. I suppose I've grown used to living by the habits of the sea. There's something comforting about being awake while the rest of the world is still deciding whether to begin the day at all. And my cottage was quite quiet. I put a kettle on the stove, and I opened the front door. The air was cool enough to make me glad for my old wool sweater. Do you remember it? The one you made me? There was a little mist over the harbor below. I could hear the gulls long before I could see them. The first to arrive was Captain. I believe I might have mentioned him before. Do you remember? He's that old orange cat who's decided that the lighthouse actually belongs to him, that I simply have the privilege of living here. He sat upon the doorstep with the sort of patient, impatient expression that only a cat can manage. I greeted him. He greeted me by asking for breakfast. I cannot fault him for his priorities, I must admit. While he ate, I stood in the garden. You might think that a garden by the sea would be difficult to keep, and you would be correct in that assumption. The wind has little respect for careful planning, and the salt has little respect for flowers. And yet somehow, the roses continue to bloom for me season after season. I watered them as the sun began to climb above the hills. There was a bee moving lazily from flower to flower, and even a robin landed upon the old stone wall. I've come to believe that mornings are quieter than they used to be, although perhaps it's only that I've learned how to notice them. By this time, the village was starting to wake, and I could hear the baker opening his shop in the distance. Someone down at the harbor, they laughed, and a fisherman called to another across the docks. One by one, the boats began to leave for the day's work. You know, I always wave at them. I doubt they can see me from so far away, but still, I wave. Why not? There's comfort in little traditions, you know. After breakfast, I climbed my lonely tower. You asked me once, how many steps are there? Well, I finally counted them for you. And after much effort, I found out that there are exactly 103 103 stone steps, all the way to the top. I suspect I shall forget and count them again next month for you. The lantern was in good condition. I polished the glass, checked the gears, cleaned the brass. It's peaceful work. Calm. Even meditative work. I'm grateful. Sometimes I think people misunderstand the purpose of a lighthouse. Most would say it exists to warn sailors away from danger, and I suppose that is the truth of it, at least part of it. But personally, after all these years, I think there's a greater purpose. It's not just to warn people away from the shore, but it's to welcome people home. Imagine you have been upon the sea for many, many weeks, months even. The nights are dark, the weather uncertain. You miss your own bed, you miss your family, you are weary in your bones. You miss the smell of bread baking and the sound of familiar voices. Then, one evening, far across the water, you see my little light. I've been keeping that light burning just for you. I think there's something very comforting in that thought. It reminds me that the world, it's kinder than we sometimes believe. So, those are my humble thoughts of the day, my dear friend. I wish you the very best. Until next time.